Joining us now on the Megacast is Levy Wolfe. She is the founder of the Teaching Circle and joins us now. She's also been working with families and children for over 25 years, and she'll tell us about her project now. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate having you on. So first off, give us some background. Tell us about the Teaching Circle, what services you provide, and how you got to this point to be running this organization.
So, as you said, I've worked with kids for over 25 years, and I started my own business back in January. And I knew kids needed programs, I knew they needed support, but I soon realized that parents needed support too. And so, some of the programs I'm running now are for parents only. Some are for their children, and I think we all work together to be successful within our families.
More information, of course, can be found on teachingcircle.org. That's teachingcircle.org. So your teaching background is in some pretty specialized areas as well. Tell us about your teaching background and how that has helped to inform you in running the Teaching Circle, both on the angle of what the kids need in today's modern education landscape, but also what the parents need too.
So about 25 years ago, I started at the School of Education at University of Texas. It was a great program, and I focused mostly on family programs. And at the time, I was running after school programs and camps. Before that, I was working in a special education classroom where I think I was learning more than I was teaching. I worked with kids with all different kinds of abilities. It was a life skills classrooms, and there were times where I would be one-on-one with different children wherever they were needed, and I loved it. And I have really always stuck to that very first teaching opportunity and encouraged inclusion in all my programs. So as I was working, I began being promoted and became a support to my staff. And immediately I realized, okay, what I need to do with them most is help them work with their kids. They were getting hung up on behavioral issues. And there was a program at the time called Love and Logic. They were teaching it through the School of Education. And I brought it into my after school program, and it was really effective. And so throughout my opportunities to be a director of camps and after school programs. That's how I was actually also brought to Michigan, running camps here where I had about 200 staff. If I wanted to get my work done, I had to have my staff ready to take on their own children. And so teaching that has been part of all of my career. I've worked in early education, been a director in that program as well. And when I started my own programs this January, I had a mom say to me, I don't know what to do with my kid. Can you help me? And I said, yeah, actually, I can. I've done that a lot. And I started working with parents as a parenting coach on helping them with their children. And this mom came back to me and she said, I like my kid again. And that felt so good and so important. And so that started the part of the business where I work specifically with parents, sometimes in group classes, but also one-on-one as well.
You can contact Forrest and her team at teachingcircle.org or by calling 248-990-5555. That's 248-990-5555 for more information. So tell us about some of these programs that you do have that help both the kids and the parents. What are some of the examples of some of these commonly frequented programs and how they help these individuals in all different areas, education and beyond?
On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I run a preschool from my home with a couple of the teachers that I have been working with for years. And we noticed with the pandemic, there was a lot of issues with speech. And because the kids were home, they were missing some development that they would have gotten in a classroom setting. And it showed up now, our kids are behind. And so what we realized is if we were to do this on our own, we would be able to address those issues right away. So the teachers that I work with, we all have degrees and a lot of experience. We're working with our preschoolers on speech, on counting some of it socialization, things that they're not able to get at home. That's something I'm really proud of, and really proud of my teachers that I work with. We also do break camps. So when school's out of session, we run those here as well. We have a limited number of spaces, but we love filling them. And we offer this great day of fun. As far as the kids know, they're just here for camp, but we're sneaking in learning and education every moment.
We're joined by Forrest Levy Wolfe, the founder of Teaching Circle, joining us on today's edition of the Megacast. Again, their website, teachingcircle.org. That's teachingcircle.org. And I hear it all the time. I got a lot of educators in my family, and so often what I hear from them is if they had one wish they could grant in their career, it's that, I wish that parents would take more of a driving role in their kids' education, because they come to my class every day, they come to school every day, and then it seems like they go home and there doesn't seem to be that continued education there. And that's so critical to a fruitful education for kids, but also for those relationships between parents and kids. And so we've heard so much about the issues that and the challenges that educators and certainly students have had to go through over the last couple of years to continue education at a high rate here in Michigan and all throughout the U.S. and the world. What are some of those issues you're seeing come up with parents, and how are you helping to address that to help them do what they can best do for their kids, but also for themselves in this really tough time it continues to be to teach kids?
Yeah, I think you're saying the right stuff. This has been such a tough time on these parents. I don't think people understand that parents who have just had these babies during the pandemic, they weren't afforded the support that most of us had when our kids were growing up. They couldn't escape to Target and have that learning opportunity with their children. They really had to hunker down, and it was a lot of pressure on them, and they're still feeling it. I'm finding that the parents, they're eager to get their kids caught up, whether it's speech, whether it's emotional, physical. They really want to get their kids caught up, and that is what I'm seeing from the parents who come to me. They're also doing so much more at home that they need this parenting support. They didn't go to the school of education, possibly, and they want to be effective with their parenting. They haven't learned the tools. And so we've been able to give those tools to the parents. We're able to catch these children up, which is so incredible. Yesterday, this is the smallest thing, but I had a little girl throw her own plate away, and her face lit up with true confidence, that she could do it herself. And so even it's sometimes the smallest things like that. And then sometimes it's been getting someone to say their first word when they're almost 3 years old. So it's across the board, and individually each person is needing something different.
You can get in contact with Forrest and her team at the Teaching Circle by visiting teachingcircle.org or calling 248 990 5555. 248 990 5555. Just another couple minutes with you, Forrest. Anything else that we should know at this time, or that parents should keep in mind if they're interested in your services, or really just in general as they continue to interact with their kids and certainly with their kids' teachers? Now that things are a little bit back to normal, but of course, when anything changes, even going back to more normalcy, there's going to be some growing pains.
Yeah, at this point, school has started. We're in it. If you are worried if your child is behind, they probably are. So reach out, get them the resources that they need. I know people who are having a difficult time with their children. I'll just give a quick tip. Most of the time, they're having issues and a power struggle. And so sometimes it's this a shift of, instead of getting in a power struggle with this child that you love so much, you start to empathize with them. And you say to them, it seems like you're having such a hard time, which doesn't always feel right, because when they're sitting in a room filled with toys that you've purchased them, it's hard to imagine they don't have enough to do, or they're really having a hard time, but they are. And that's sometimes what they're just saying, and acknowledging it can let them know immediately that you're on their side.
Of course, we appreciate you telling us more about this and some great work that you're doing with parents and with kids alike, because that relationship between parents and their kids is so critical in education. And certainly all that goes back to help our very hardworking educators all across our local area. Thank you so much.
Thank you.